The question is stain removal mechanism of carbamide peroxide during home bleaching. So the two things that we have established in this question is that the question is on bleaching, which means that you are whitening the teeth. And second is that you are using carbamide peroxide, where they are asking you the mechanism of action of carbamide peroxide. See, one important thing that you need to remember is in general, when you say that there is something called peroxide, you need to remember that there is going to be something related to H2O2, and it is going to have a nascent oxygen, and this nascent oxygen is what is going to be responsible for whichever action or reaction is coming about. Okay, now coming to the question over here, they are asking you the mechanism of action of carbamide peroxide. So what is this carbamide peroxide is? It consists of urea and plus ammonia plus hydrogen peroxide. Okay, this is what is carbamide peroxide. In some situations, you may not have the ammonia. It may just be urea plus H2O2. Now, remember that hydrogen peroxide as such is a very unstable molecule. The most important thing that hydrogen peroxide would want to do is it would want to convert itself into water at any given point in time. So within the cell also, it would, if you have a free radical production, it would want to convert itself into water and release off that one oxygen molecule so that it can reach its level of stability. So hydrogen peroxide in all cases gets converted to water plus nascent oxygen. Now this nascent oxygen is what is responsible for all the actions of hydrogen peroxide. Even if it is a free radical, the nascent oxygen is what brings about the destruction of the cells. See, all living animals, all living creatures is made up of 90% is made up of water. So the cells are also made up of water. So this entire reaction occurs in water or in contact with anything that contains water. So over here, the nascent oxygen that gets released as is responsible for the action of hydrogen peroxide. What it does is, this is a very effervescent molecule. What is effervescence is basically you form a lot of bubbles. So these bubbles, they are unstable again. What they want to do initially, they just want to pop and they want to burst, because there is a point in time when they want to just burst open. So the oxygen, what it does is within the water, it forms these bubbles and then it bursts out. In bleaching, what happens is this hydrogen peroxide, it comes in contact with the saliva, that is the water. For practical purposes, we will consider that as the water, and again it gets converted to water plus nascent oxygen. Now this nascent oxygen, what it will go do is it will go and sit between all that tartar or all the stains that are present, and then it will pop open, and because it bursts open, it creates a space between the stain and the tooth structure, and the stain is able to come off. This is how bleaching works. So the entire concept of bleaching is based purely on nascent oxygen, because this nascent oxygen is what is responsible for removing the stains by this mechanism of effervescence. Another important area where nascent oxygen is important is when you're using it as an irrigant. A lot of times you use hydrogen peroxide as an irrigant because the bacteria which are there within the root canal system are facultative or obligate anaerobes. So what you would want to do is you would want to give oxygen supply over there so that they are killed in that environment. Even when you use for ANA cases, you give 3% hydrogen peroxide as a mouthwash, simply because the bacteria are again anaerobic in nature and the oxygen will destroy these microorganisms. So the answer to this question is it forms hydrogen peroxide on contact with the saliva. Now, why is this urea so important? Is, see, hydrogen peroxide is supposed to be a little alkaline in nature, in the sense it is basic. So when you supply something like ammonia or urea, it increases the function of the hydrogen peroxide, and it ensures that the oxygen that is released is able to stay in that alkaline environment, and the action of the H2O2 is potentiated by this urea. That is the reason for home bleaching we prefer using carbamide peroxide or urea peroxide over normal H2O2 that we use in the clinics.